Captain Sarah Chen floated in the observation deck of the Defiance, watching the massive Galactic Council fleet approach through the viewport. 12 dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their faces grim but determined. "They really think this will work," muttered Commander Torres, joining her at the viewport. 73 years of human civilization, and they believe they can just delete us. Sarah's reflection smiled grimly in the reinforced glass. "They don't understand us at all, do they?" 3 months ago, the Galactic Council had issued their ultimatum. Humanity was to be archived, a clinical term for having their entire species relocated to reservation worlds, while their history, culture, and technological achievements were systematically purged from galactic records. The official reason was cultural contamination. The real reason was fear. In less than a century since first contact, humans had done the impossible. They'd united fractured alien alliances, introduced concepts like individual rights to hive mind species, and somehow convinced the militant Zephyrians to try diplomacy. Worse yet, they'd started asking uncomfortable questions about the Council's authority. "Admiral Kethavar is hailing us," reported Lieutenant Park, on screen. The Velethan Admiral's 4 eyes regarded Sarah with what she'd learned to recognize as pity. His translator rendered his chittering speech into flat mechanical words. "Captain Chen, you have fought admirably, but this is futile. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with dignity in their new homes." "Define dignity, Admiral." "You will be provided for, your basic needs met, your destructive impulses carefully managed." Sarah laughed, the sound sharp in the tense bridge atmosphere. "You really don't get it. We're not fighting you because we want to destroy things, Admiral. We're fighting because you're trying to erase who we are. Your species spreads chaos wherever it goes. The Manthari Civil War, the collapse of the Trade Federation's monopoly, the Zephyrian peace accords that upset 3 millennia of established order. We call that progress." Kethavar's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Submit, or we will take your ships by force." "I have a counteroffer," Sarah said, nodding to Lieutenant Park. "Initiate Protocol 7. Across human space, the signal went out. On Earth, on the colony worlds, on research stations and trading, posts in hidden caches scattered throughout the galaxy, humans began to act. Sarah watched the Admiral's expression change as reports started flooding into his command center. "What have you done?" Kethavar demanded. "We've done what humans do best, Admiral. We've adapted." Dr. Marcus Webb spoke from his laboratory on Kepler 442b, even as Council enforcement ships moved to arrest him. "You want to know what makes humans different? We don't just preserve our history, we weaponize it." He activated the quantum broadcaster that would scatter petabytes of human cultural data across subspace frequencies that couldn't be blocked or traced. On Titan Station, Commander Lisa Rodriguez led her team in uploading humanity's complete genetic database to the Galactic DataNet. "Every song, every poem, every scientific breakthrough, every act of defiance," she announced to the galaxy. "You can relocate our bodies, but you'll never contain our ideas." The Defiance shuddered as the Council fleet opened fire, but Sarah wasn't worried. This had always been a one-way mission. "Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about human mythology? What does this have to do with the Hydra? Cut off 1 head and 2 grow back." Sarah's smile was predatory now. "We've spent 70 years studying you, learning how your minds work, how your societies function. Did you really think we'd just roll over when threatened?" On screens across the galaxy, a simple message began appearing in hundreds of languages. "They tried to silence us. They tried to erase us, but human stories don't end. They spread." It started with the Manthari youth who'd grown up with human concepts of individual choice. They began broadcasting human literature, art, and philosophy from hidden transmitters. The peaceful Elinari, inspired by human examples of civil disobedience, began refusing council directives. Even some Zephyrians started questioning why they'd never asked their own people what they wanted before going to war. You see, Admiral, Sarah continued as her ship took another hit, you made one critical error. You assumed that being human was about biology, about our physical presence in your galaxy. But being human, that's about refusing to accept that things have to be the way they've always been. It's about believing that tomorrow can be better than today, and being willing to fight for that belief. The Defiance's hull began to buckle, but Sarah's voice remained steady. Every species you've archived went quietly because they thought, like you do. That authority comes from power. That order is more important than freedom. But humans, we don't recognize your authority. We never did. Keithvar's 4 eyes widened as more reports came in. Protests on 17 worlds. 3. Council member species demanding answers about humanity's claims. Trade routes disrupted by sympathizers. The carefully maintained galactic order beginning to fracture. This is impossible, he whispered. Welcome to humanity, Sarah said as her ship's power failed. We specialize in impossible. The Defiance died in a brilliant flash, taking 3 council ships with it. But across the galaxy, the revolution Sarah had started continued to spread. Humanity's bodies could be relocated, their governments could be dissolved, but their ideas, their stubborn, infectious, beautiful ideas about freedom and choice and the right to determine one's own destiny, those had already taken root in a million minds. The Council had tried to erase human history. Instead, they'd ensured it would become legend. In hidden bunkers and refugee camps, in the memories of alien friends and in quantum broadcasts scattered across the void, humanity endured. Not as subjects to be managed, but as an idea that could never be killed. That ordinary people working together could change the galaxy. And change it they did.